Welcome all to another class of Hunger Games history. Today, we will be talking about the third annual Hunger Games, whose events led to a new rule being implemented, stating to be forbidden to physically harm or engage in a fight with another tribute before entering the arena. Things were not looking great when it came to the longevity of the Hunger Games. It was only the third year, and views were already dropping at a fast rate, together with funds getting low. Between the lack of action in the previous year and not getting a victor, capital citizens were losing interest. Additionally, a series of changes had to be implemented this year. The first, as already mentioned in our last class, was how there was no longer an option to watch the games in person. This removed one of the sources of profit of the games, the selling of tickets. The second change was part of the disease prevention protocol the capital ran following the second Hunger Games, consisting in acquiring a second livestock car to transport the tributes from the districts to the capital, aiming to mitigate the disease spreading risk in case a sick tribute were to be reaped again. Districts 1 to 6 would then be transported together in the first car, while districts 7 to 12 would be placed in the second one. Following the conclusion of the reaping, the newly upgraded train left the capital heading north, collecting the tributes of districts 1 and 4 first, which were placed in the first car as per the new rules. The next stop was at District 7, where tributes Lucina and her very tall district partner, Joshua, were picked up and placed in the newly acquired cattle car. While the purchase was a new addition to the train, the car itself was not at all in new condition. Entering the wagon, Lucina and Joshua were met with a very strong animal smell. Under their feet was a generous layer of dirty straw, which piled up in great quantities in one of the corners of the car, serving as bedding for the animals. The area was spacious enough to provide some distance between tributes, extending beyond the door's reach, but it was nothing close to being comfortable. Visibly distressed ever since the reaping, once the wagon's door was closed, Joshua's restlessness got worse. Lucina could notice his legs trembling, and how his gaze refused to meet hers, instead nervously scouting every corner of the wagon. She could tell the boy was anxious about the games, and felt as sorry for him as she felt for herself. She takes a step in his direction, reaching for his shaky hand in an attempt to calm him down. Mere seconds later, she feels a knife's blade piercing her abdomen. Joshua had managed to sneak in the weapon by hiding it in his clothes, a detail that went unnoticed by the peacekeepers, responsible to escort the District 7 tributes to the train. Using his hand that Lucina tried to reach for to now cover her mouth, he makes sure that she is no longer breathing before letting her body fall on the bedding. The boy moves away most of the straw that was piled up against the corner and places Lucina's body there, cleaning his hands and blade in the lower layer, then covering up the blood on the body with the straw he had previously removed. As the train advanced through the districts, tributes were thrown into each of the cattle cars with minimum care. Joshua continued with his plan in each stop along the way, killing each tribute that entered the wagon, one after another. He intended to reduce the competition as much as possible, while he'd be at an advantage before being thrown into an arena where all tributes would get access to weapons, figuring this would be his best shot at winning. As tributes came in pairs, the job was now harder, but most were either young children or malnourished enough that they were no match against Joshua, an 18-year-old, almost 2-meter tall tribute. Some attempted to fight back, but with no avail. With each kill, Joshua would repeat the same he did with Lucina, hiding their body underneath the layers of straw, as it was a long trip around Pan Am until they'd be back at the capital. He also made use of the leftover animal waste still present in a cattle car to hide the smell. By the time the train arrived at the capital, only Joshua remained at the second wagon, as noticed by the peacekeepers who escorted him out of the train. Normally, they would execute him right there, after they found out what had happened. However, the head guard argued that it wouldn't make a difference, as he was being brought to the slaughter anyway. Instead, the peacekeepers ended up just confiscating the weapon, before throwing all of the tributes inside the back of their truck, to be transported to the animal pen, where they would spend the night. When the situation was reported to the Department of War, the peacekeepers were instructed by the higher-ups to keep an eye on Joshua, not only so he does not continue with his behavior, but above all, so that he would make it to the arena alive. After all, the boy had just shown a promising drive to kill. Exactly what the games were needing at a time where views were dropping rapidly, due to most tributes not providing the capital with the show they initially expected. They wanted Joshua to deliver a performance that would finally entertain the audience. However, now stuck inside with the remaining tributes, Joshua had other problems than the peacekeepers. The tributes from the first cattle car quickly realized what the absence of the other tributes implied, as Joshua was the last standing tribute from District 7 to 12. Seeing how much of a coward Joshua showed to be for what he did, all agreed on taking revenge for the tributes unfairly killed. As they lunged at the boy, all the sudden movement caused the truck to lose stability, forcing the driver to stop abruptly. Some people in the streets had curious eyes over the scene, while others evacuated the area in fear. The head peacekeeper, hearing the mess that was taking place, decided to quickly put an end to the situation. The man shouted several times asking for order, but no one listened, and without much patience left, he fired several shots in the direction of the back of the truck, fatally hitting 4 tributes: Garnet from District 1, Sultan from District 2, Bertie from District 5, and lastly, already very weakened by the hands of other tributes, was Joshua from District 7. 2 other tributes were also injured in the process: Mimi from District 5 and Pete from District 4, who both passed due to their injuries that same night, inside the animal pen. By the time the tributes were sent to the arena, only 7 were alive. This year was the first time some action was seen, with tributes running immediately towards the pile of weapons, perhaps with their survival instinct and adrenaline already fired up, after what had happened the days before. Or maybe, due to how there were so few tributes left, they thought there was actually a chance of winning. However, once weapons were grabbed, most hesitated to actually fight. The first to engage against other tributes were the couple from District 6, Linda and Sullivan, who both happened to be older and physically stronger than most other tributes still in the game. Each advanced against the girls from Districts 4 and 2, who they had assessed the night before to be their only real threat, and wanted to get rid of them before they could try anything themselves. Both tributes follow by going after Janine from District 3, who was nearby, with Linda injuring the girl to prevent her from escaping, and Sullivan giving the finishing blow. Seeing his district partner being attacked and killed by the 2 tributes, Cosimo, from District 3, managed to snap out of the fear that was keeping him from moving and quickly ran towards his opponents in anger, with a spear in his hand. He attempts to throw it against Sullivan, but was not strong enough to provide a good throw. Sullivan was able to evade the attack without any struggle, and Linda took advantage of the opening to go after the now unarmed tribute with her weapon. What Linda did not realize was how that was exactly Rosimo's plan. Now in closer proximity, the boy from District 3 reveals a knife he had grabbed earlier and hid in his pocket. Startled, Linda misses her first attack, and Rosimo does not hesitate to strike her throat. As her body falls, Rosimo quickly turns to Sullivan to face him, but he was already too close. The boy strikes his weapon against Rosimo's skull, not giving him any chance to act. Sullivan's knees fell on the floor as he crawls towards Linda's body, who was somehow still alive. He remained at the scene as he watched her die, in shock and anger for not being able to do anything to stop it. Now holding onto her body, Sullivan's mind is brought back to the game as he feels a big blow against his skull. Disoriented, Sullivan desperately tries to reach for the weapon of the now dead Linda, swinging it immediately against whoever was behind him. He realizes that he missed once he is able to focus his eyes on the figure of Jasper, the male tribute from District 1, who stood in front of him with a club in his hand. Jasper had been keeping it low the entire time, ever since he was put in the train and shipped to the capital, not engaging with anyone, and ever since setting foot in the arena, he ran in the opposite direction from the weapons to stay in the shadows. Now with Sullivan distracted, he had managed to grab a club from the weapon pile and stealthily made his approach. With another strike of his club, Sullivan was down, and Jasper was announced victor of the 3rd annual Hunger Games. The events of this year were used for a long time as an excuse to justify the Hunger Games to those who were still skeptical of using children to punish the districts. Due to Joshua's behavior, the capital was able to paint a savage and bloodthirsty picture of the districts, no matter the age of their citizens, revealing to all how Joshua had cheated and turned against his own kind by killing Lucina the way he did.